Hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm the host of the reality series CPS The Horror Stories. I am not an attorney or a social worker, but I am a mom who had her children kidnapped by the Child Protective Services. And after 2 years of fighting, I did get my children back. But that doesn't mean that we still don't have struggles because of the corruption, devastation, and traumatic events that CPS causes when they are involved in your life. I now have this platform to allow parents to share their story and be able to share their truth on how CPS has destroyed their lives and to hopefully help them get their children back. Mindy, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about you and where you're from and what you do.
Okay. My name is Mindy Carter. I'm from Georgia. I'm a waitress. I'm currently, in January, I'll start school to be a child advocacy lawyer. After all this, I want to help babies get home to their parents. And right now, just fighting for my girls and trying to remain strong.
That's awesome. So tell me, did you ever have history with CPS prior to
I
this?
did. I did. It was in a different county, and it was when my husband was alive. And what happened is my oldest had gotten head lice from the school. So they showed up, and we showed them everything that we had, just to work on the problem. And my husband said, look, really, you need to kind of give the school some of the shampoo and stuff for parents who couldn't afford it. And then that's what they did, and they closed the case.
Okay. So let's go over that really fast again.
Sure.
CPS was called by the school.
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure if it was from the school, but they did show up regarding, it had to be because it was regarding my oldest daughter. She had very long, thick hair, and she had contacted Head Lice twice. And even though we had the shampoos for her hair, the cars, the house, the zapper, everything, she had finally gotten rid of it. And, that's when my husband suggested that they maybe provide the school with shampoo to give out to the parents who couldn't afford it themselves to kind of, put an end to that problem. And I thought it was a good idea. And then they apologized and closed the case.
That blows me away. That's a common issue with being in school. That's like getting a cold.
Right.
And that's absolutely insane that CPS was involved because of that. That's probably the wildest thing I've actually heard yet.
Oh, well, they did.
So
But,
I
like I
totally
said,
believe you 100%.
yeah, they only came to the house one time. So they were very nice then. So, I didn't see them again until after my husband passed away. And I was in a different county.
Right. Now, did you have any history of CPS when you were a child or in foster care?
None whatsoever.
Okay. So tell me the year that this case started.
2015.
15?
Yes.
So it's been going on for 5 years.
It has, yes.
That's insane. So you had mentioned that your husband passed away. May I ask when that happened?
That happened in 2015, in May of 2015. He passed away from cancer. When they found it, it was already at stage 4, level 4 lung cancer, so there wasn't really much we could do. He tried, but his body just couldn't keep up with it. Our children watched slowly, but they tried to, have memories with him. And then I moved into my own place with them because me and him moved from our home to live with his mother and grandmother. So that way there was, more people to help with him and the children.
Now, how long have you been married to him?
Well, I've known him since we were 12, and we were married for 4 years.
Okay. And how many children do you have?
I have 2. And well, the youngest one is his. The oldest one is not his by blood, but she asked him if she could call him daddy, that she knew who her dad was, but could he be her daddy? And, from that day forward, that was his daughter. And they had a really close relationship, the two of them.
That's very sweet. I had a question and I forgot. Just a moment. I'm sorry. How old are the girls? How old are the girls?
My oldest one just turned 14 in September, and my youngest, her birthday was in July. She turned 9.
Okay. How did they respond to their father passing?
They had a little bit of time. My youngest one, of course, didn't really understand exactly what was going on. My oldest one did, and I was able to talk with her about it. And, you know, honestly, I haven't been able to even to even help my daughter, my youngest one, grieve or cope with it because defects came in so fast after he passed away. I mean, they came in 4 months after he passed away. And it's been hard. She has her times where she gets upset and very sad, and I would call her and I'd say, "Are you missing your daddy?" And she'd say, "Yes. You know, it's Christmas time. I want my daddy." And I said, "Baby, remember what I told you, that, you know, God's got plans for him and he needs his help, but he's always watching over you, so you can talk to him anytime you want to." And she has even said that she's talked to her dad, you know, and different little things. It's hard on her. And she also, after losing him and everything with defects, she has separation anxiety disorder now, which is due to, it's hard for her to perform daily routines without me. That I'm who she has separation anxiety from, and she's afraid I want to die. And I've had no help.
You said she's afraid you're going to die?
Yeah, that's part of the separation anxiety disorder. She doesn't like being away from me, and then she's afraid that something's going to happen to me, that I will die. And I've had no help with trying to, I've asked them, "Can you get us in counseling? What do we do to fix this issue?" And the caseworker just blows it off. There's been no help with that. She also has 2 forms of ADHD that she was diagnosed with November of 2016. Her pediatrician prescribed her medication, but DFAC's caseworker had to sign off on it. They still have not signed off of it, so she's been dealing with that too for the past 4 years, which I can't believe they won't let her take her medicine. You know, that I can handle her. I'm very patient, soft-spoken with her, and I've been dealing with it since she was little. But, you know, for somebody, a complete stranger, it's hard, and I don't understand why it feels like that's abuse to my child and neglect on the caseworker's part for not allowing her to take medication to help her through it, you know, and to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I totally understand the separation anxiety thing. Both of my children suffer from it severely.
Oh, good.
And as I mentioned, my health issues, so they are also very worried that I'm going to die.
Right.
You know, being away from me, doing any type of task, like you were mentioning, I have to be there to encourage and remind and assist. And my daughter is 10 and my son is 8. And my son, both of them also have a form of, I don't think it's ADHD, it's ADD. So they're able to like do schoolwork and stuff. And they're both so smart, but I really, my heart goes out to you because I understand exactly what you're going through. And I'm also a single mom. So it's...
They kind of downed me for being a single mom, but they didn't want me to date, but then they wanted me to get married. And I'm like, you know, you make no sense.
Absolutely. Is that CPS you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. They are. The thing, it's so frustrating, and I understand.
It's very frustrating. They, you know, they placed it with my stepsister, and, you know, the CASA workers, anytime there was court, they didn't come to me. They went directly to her afterwards to speak to her. Everyone kept saying she was a better suited parent. I said, she is their aunt. I said, I'm their mother, and I'm fighting them because you said I was not mentally stable or capable. I'm not fighting against my stepsister here. But that's what it kind of led to be.
Yes.
I've had 2 judges. The first judge, you know, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. I had a case plan, and I was about to move into my own place, you know, even though I had my own place when this happened. They told me, the caseworker, I did weekly drug screening, which drugs wasn't an issue, but I wasn't going to argue with them.
Did you ever have a problem with drugs or alcohol?
No, not at all. Not at all.
They just randomly ordered that you drug test?
Exactly. And I was like, that's fine. You know, I didn't want any issues with them. So the caseworker had picked me up for my job to do that. And then he pulled me into the courtroom where the judge was not, you know, the judge wasn't there. It was him and my children's guardian had lied him. He said that I had run out of time on my case plan, and I said, what do you mean? He said, well, you need to seriously think about signing over your rights and letting your stepsister adopt, or you'll never see your kids again. And he said I had 2 days to make that decision. So I went to the office to go sign over my parental rights. I cried the whole time. I was shaking. I said I couldn't do this. But yet I did it. I said, because I said, now correct me if I'm wrong. I said, this is the only way to make sure I'm still able to see my children, correct? And that's what I'm fighting right now, is trying to get my parental rights back. Even after that was done, the judge ordered a year later that, well, about 8 months later, that I had unsupervised visitation with my children at the discretion of my stepsister. So in December and part of January, they stayed 6 nights a week with me. I was taking them back and forth to school because she homeschooled them. I got them back in school, took them back and forth to school, took them to their therapist who was doing family sessions with us, trying to transition them to come home. Mm-hmm. And this is, DFAC's therapist. For only my stepsister to get upset with me and call Child Protective Services and say that they're causing marital problems to come remove them from our home, which they did, and put them in foster care. They have been in foster care for the past 10 months. I have not seen or spoken to my children. The last conversations I had was I told my daughters, I said, I don't know when. I said, but I do promise you that you will come home. There is going to be a judge, and there will be a courtroom that will allow you to come home. Because my stepsister kept saying, you're coming home. They're telling them that they were coming home. I said, don't do that, because I don't want to break their heart. My youngest one is when she looked at me and she said, Mama, I need my life back with you and my world back with you, because if I can't have my world with you in it, I just want to die. She was 8 years old. I said, June. I said, no, baby. I said, darling, you and your sister are the strongest people that I have ever known, and I need you to be strong for a little while longer while Mama fixes this and gets you home. And that was the last time I spoke to her. My oldest daughter she was crying and said that we had missed out on so much. And I said, I know. I said, but we'll learn each other again. She said, yeah. And I told her, I said, we'll have this bond that's unbreakable. And she said that I was right. We picked out 2 songs. One was You Are the Reason, and I would sing that for them when they went to sleep at night. And the other one was a Lady Antebellum song called Compass, because we're not always with each other, but our hearts are with each other. And that's the last that I got to tell them. I don't know. I worried myself sick. I'm finally better. Just as of yesterday, I kept wondering, are they okay? Are they safe? Are they crying? Are they waiting on me? Do they think I forgot about them? Do they cry themselves to sleep? Do they have nightmares? Just all of these questions. And, I wake up out of my sleep and I feel like I hear one of them say, Mommy, Mommy, and I pray over her. And then I see my oldest daughter's face, and I said, oh, she was calling for me. And I felt that I know it sounds strange, but I felt like she was praying to God to tell my mom I'm trying to be strong, but it's really hard.
It doesn't sound strange at all. I understand you hear them cry, you hear them need you, and the worst part is there's nothing we can do. We can't run to them. We can't
exactly
when they fall down and get hurt. We can't be there through, you said that your daughter is a teenager. I'm sure she's probably started her cycle, and
that's already started. We got to deal with that. Mollis was home, and she, like I said, she has very, very long, thick hair, and she says, Mom, do you think you can fix my hair but make it look like I didn't try too hard? But she wanted me to curl it, and I was like, of course. And then the next day, okay, I want it to look like I tried. And she actually wrote, my oldest one, she wrote a letter to the judge that I filed with the juvenile court clerk's office. And she basically told the judge, she said, that she had everybody fooled, and by everybody she meant DFACS, CASA, even her therapist, that where she wasn't the best place for them, and that if they could just see the way her sister is when she's home with her mama and the way that she is, that it's real at our home, and there's laughter and happiness, and
Right.
that she wants her family back, and she didn't understand why someone she doesn't know could tell her how she's going to live her life and who she's going to live with. I mean, he didn't even mention the letter.
That's crazy to me, you know, of her age and ability to understand, you know,
Yeah.
so much and not
She's
be
had
heard.
to, her childhood has been gone. She, you
Yes.
know, she, from 10 years old, she's been protecting her sister. I always said that she's an angel sent to her sister. She looks after her. She protects her. She kind of mothers her, you know. It's just sad. Like, when she was home, my oldest got to FaceTime her friends, and they got to, you know, figure out hairdos and outfits, and she was a kid again.
Yeah, she wasn't the mom of her sister.
Right.
My kids
And
went through that.
it hurts because it's like they've been taken twice, you know. I felt that they were coming home for them to be able to stay the night with me and that much, you know, 6 nights a week. And I honestly felt like, you know, I don't understand when my stepsister called and had them removed, why didn't they do an emergency hearing to say, well, they've been with their mom 6 days a week for a month and a half now, you know, and take that in consideration.
Yeah, let's actually pause on where we are right now.
Okay.
Start from the very beginning. So
Okay.
you had mentioned that they were, that CPS came for the head lice stuff in another county.
Right.
And then you're in a different county now. And so tell me how, who called, if you know, what were the allegations, and how did it all come about? For the
I don't know who called. I was told this last hearing that I had 2 months ago, that the call that someone said that I was suicidal and was going to take my own life. And that's the allegations, and that's why they said I was not mentally capable or stable to care for my children due to my grieving. They came. I was in one place. It was like a little trailer park. I was in one trailer that I was trying to work on, but it was just too much for me to handle when they first showed up. And I explained to them I was moving into the one right next door. And the caseworker said, okay, well, once you're there, you need to notify me, and, you know, so that way I can come see it. I said, okay. So I did, and he came out, and he automatically, you know, we'll talk out. He said, let's talk outside. I said, okay. And he's like, you know, you're not mentally capable or able to take care of your children due to your grieving. And I said, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you know, we need documentation of why, you know, your oldest is overweight. And I said, I can get that. I said, I've had her tested, her thyroid tested, everything. I was like, she was very depressed watching her stepfather dying. I said, and my little one.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's
it's okay.
Absolutely insane that they.
And I did. I got all the paperwork from the doctors, turned it into them. And, you know, it's just, they still placed them. I asked them, I said, please do not hurt my daughters more by taking them away from their only parent, their mother, right after their dad died. Show me what it is I need to do. Provide me with counseling. Give me some information of where I can go, what we can do. You know, I'm new at being a widow. I'm new at being a mother to children who lost their father. Help me. And they didn't.
So you're saying the social worker came and pulls you aside and has this conversation with you. Did he have a warrant or anything like that? Any type of?
No, he didn't, and I didn't know better. You know, I was told to have all that documentation from the doctors and he didn't even say family team meeting, but by the end of that week for a STM, and I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So when I had all the documentations and had my children, we went up to their office. I didn't know, just to let the lady know that that's what I was there for. So I pulled a number, you know, waited. It was like 2 minutes before closing. I didn't get to talk to him, so I left. That was like the worst thing I could ever done to them. So,
so the day that he came, did he remove the girls on that day?
Not on that day, no.
So let's walk me through that. So he comes, he has that conversation. Did he come into your home and look at it?
He did. He saw. I slept on the couch. That way, each of my, because it was 2 bedroom. That way, each child had their own room. And I showed him that. I mean, it was like right before Thanksgiving, and I had a Christmas tree up with presents galore underneath the tree already, because it was their first Christmas without their dad.
Yeah.
I was trying to make it a good one. And he just, told me to provide those documentations from the doctor for the family team meeting on Friday.
Okay. And so you show up to the family team meeting, and who's there?
Well, see, that's the thing. I didn't know exactly. He didn't explain to me what this was. I had no idea what a family team meeting was. I just knew to be up there at the office with my paperwork. So I did. And I pulled a number because I didn't know I was supposed to just tell the lady at the front. I had no clue.
Did you bring the girls with you when you went, or no?
Yes, I did. And see,
sorry, I'm just, did they?
I think I was trying to let you know what happened. So when I wasn't, called, my number wasn't called to see them. It was like 2 minutes for closing. It had been the longest week and stressful week of trying to get everything that they wanted. I went and got my girls some clothes. We went and got Happy Meals, and we took 45-minute drive to Fernandina Beach, just so we could have girl time and just I needed a break from everything that happened. They thought that I tried to run with my kids because it was a different state. I had the police called on me. I was questioned in the hotel room lobby for about 3 hours until they finally said, it's okay, you're free to go. They had called a DCFS caseworker up there, had asked for family numbers, and then they finally said I was free to go. And I rented the hotel room, and I was getting their dinner when there was 3 police officers, 2 in blue and 1 in brown uniform. The 2 in blue left and said I was okay to go, and the 1 in brown came. And I would not let him in the room because I said, no, I was told y'all could leave me alone now. So he got a key, or had the manager open the door, and he lifted me up over the bed of my children to arrest me for resisting arrest to a police officer, and said I was traumatizing my kids. I said, no, actually, that's kind of what you're doing right now. And I was arrested, and my stepsister and my stepfather, my mom was at work. My stepsister and my stepfather came and got the girls, and they held a court hearing without me there and decided to place them with my stepsister. And then that's when I got out and got to go to court is when they presented me with a case plan. And it was basically, I had my own vehicle, so that was okay, but I had to have a job for 6 months, at least 6 months or longer. And I had to provide a home and get that going.
Can I interrupt you really fast?
Sure, of course.
Okay. So you said you got there, you pulled a number, and started telling her. So did you, number one, were you allowed to bring anybody into the meeting with you? Did they inform you that was allowed?
No, they didn't. Like I said, it was just me and my girls.
Okay. So when you pulled the number, you said it was getting close to closing. Did they ever call you back?
No, they didn't.
Okay. Did you go up to the desk and ask, like, hey?
I honestly I didn't have a clue. I know I've been up there before for Medicaid and stuff like that. So I knew to pull the number and wait for them to call, and then they'd ask what you were here for. So I thought that's what I had to do.
Understood.
And, after 2 minutes, 2 minutes till closing time, I was like, well, they're obviously, we've been up here for an hour and a half, and I don't see them doing anything. So I left. So that upset them. And then, at the Fernandina Beach, where they questioned and got a DCFS caseworker, they placed them with my stepsister. I mean, she came and got them with my stepfather because she had car seats and stuff. But they held and she kept them with her, and then they held a hearing while I was in jail and decided to place them with her.
So on the day of the meeting, was that the day that you got arrested?
No, it was 2 days after that.
Okay, and so crazy, so crazy. And where did they come? Where did they find you? Were you at home and they came to your house?
No, well, I mean, they served me papers to go to court after I had gotten released from jail.
Right, but before the day that you went to jail, can we walk me through that day?
Sure. So it was the day that I had the team meeting, and I pulled the number and waited, and never got called back. I just took the girls, to Fernandina, which was like 45 minutes away from where I live, but it was in another state. So I didn't know that they would question, thinking that I was trying to run with my kids. So that's why the police were called. And they talked to me for about 3 hours, and then said I could go, but one decided no. And I was incarcerated for resisting arrest to a police officer without violence. And they had got in touch with my stepfather, who then got in touch with his daughter, and they went to go get my children. And then I'm not sure how long, I think it was like a day or two later, there was a court hearing where they decided to place my children with my stepsister.
And you said that you were incarcerated for how long?
For about 5 days.
5 days?
Yes, it was awful. Yeah, it was about 4 or 5 days. And then it was a little while before, when I got back, I moved in with my mom and my stepfather, and it had to be maybe a week later before there was court to explain that the girls would be with my stepsister and that I would be given a case plan. I have had so many caseworkers. I've got stacks and stacks of case plans, from each one. I did the parenting classes. I did the sexual abuse awareness classes, sexual trafficking awareness classes. The only thing left was to have a place, and I had the money for that. And that's when the caseworker said I ran out of time. But here it is, over 2.5 years since signing those, and still fighting.
So, okay, the day you got arrested, and I apologize, but that we repeat ourselves. It's just so that.
No, you're okay.
Okay. So you get arrested. Your stepsister comes, correct, to pick them up.
Right.
Okay. And then they have a court hearing, and you're not able to be there, correct?
Correct.
And on that day, do you happen to know what was said or agreed upon?
I do not. All I know is that's when they decided to place them with her.
Okay. And how far away does she live from you?
Oh, she was like 15 minutes away.
Okay, so not like super far.
Right, and I saw them at least 3 times a week. And then as it kept, getting longer and longer into this case, I bought my oldest daughter a cell phone, and I talked to my children every single day and seen them 3 to 4 times a week. I paid for their horseback riding lessons, for therapy for them. We have not, in this 5 years, have not been where I did not see or speak to them until 10 months ago. And now it's just like they cut off all communication. And I don't see how that's beneficial to my children whatsoever.
No. Now, does your sister, the way that she is in their lives, does she act like the aunt, or is she trying to be mom?
She called herself the mother figure. I said, no, ma'am, let's not do that. I said, I am the mother. You are the aunt. He is the uncle, not the daddy figure. I said, so I don't know I know you got your own kids that aren't his kids, but because she had 2 daughters of her own that were same age as mine. So she just thought it'd be easier to say mother figure, daddy figure. I said, no. I said, my kids know who their mom is. They know who their dad is, and they know that you're the aunt. So let's just leave it like that.
There's nothing confusing about that at all.
Right. So we definitely had our differences throughout it, and it was tough. And then at the end, she's like, I'm just done. I'm ready for it to be over with. She said that she told DFAX that, I'm done. I don't want them anymore, and nobody's going to take these kids, and you just got to give them back to their mother. she even told, I don't know if she said it, but she told me things like, if they fall through the cracks of foster care because of defects and not bringing them back to you, then that's on y'all. And I'm like, you know, you got to be kidding me. But see, my children from my husband passing away, they received a check each a month. And she was able to, anything and everything that she spent on my children was reimbursed to her. But there's been no savings of their money from their dad passing away. And I just had the Social Security office call me and tell me that they had nothing to do with that it was between the caseworker and my stepsister. And I'm like, somebody fix it, you know? So it's a lot of confusion. The caseworker even said at last hearing, well, I trusted my stepsister, or he said he trusted her judgment, and if she felt I could see the girls, and that was fine. If she thought I didn't need to see them, then he agreed with her. Whatever she says goes. I don't understand. They've done nothing right. The guardian ad litem has only seen my children twice in 5 years. Twice. So I don't see how, you know, they can even know what's best for them.
So after the first court hearing, when was the second one?
Oh, goodness. It's been so long. I want to say it was a couple months later, not too long. They kept going every couple months to see where I was in my case plan. And I had gotten everything except for my own place to live.
Okay. And did the judge obviously was the one who created the case plan or from the suggestions of the social workers, correct?
Right.
Okay. And the reason I say or ask that is because I've had a lot of people say that they have a case plan by the social worker, but the judge never enforced it or signed off on it. It was just something the social worker did, or they do that, and it's ridiculous because they don't have the power to do so, but because we aren't educated on that, we do it.
Exactly.
So during the time from the first court hearing to the second, were you allowed to see your girls?
Yes. It started where I had to go to the DFACS building and see them in like a room that was monitored. And then it got from where it was from that to, you know, I could go to my stepsister's house to see them. And then, you know, right at the end, it was unsupervised visitation. I still have that court order from the previous judge stating the unsupervised visitation and to return the children to their home as soon as possible. And none of that matters. Like, he stepped off the case, and this new judge doesn't even, like.
So the judge ordered for them to be returned?
Yes, as soon as possible after unsupervised visitation. And the new judge, like, he doesn't even, I don't know if he's not read it or he doesn't care. He's made his own decision. But he wouldn't give me my rights back. And now I'm waiting for the last court order of that hearing to be made so that way we can file an appeal. And have it looked through a panel of judges. I'm getting my rights back, and also filing for a third-party visitation so that I may have visitation with my children, because DFACS was supposed to set that up at this last hearing, and no one, DFACS, my court-appointed lawyer, no one mentioned visitation. So it's just been bad. The only thing that I know, my court-appointed lawyer said, you have to be patient. I know you're upset. She says, I talk to your children and I talk to the foster mom, 2 to 3 times a week. She said that the foster mom said that these babies ask about their mom every single day. She said, the lawyer said that the foster mom said, she couldn't take it anymore. And she said, your mom loves you. She did not give you up. She did not tell them to come get you. And this was a mistake made by DFACS that the lawyer is going to have to fix. So that's all I know of what they've been told. My stepsister had told them, well, y'all are causing problems and your mom's in the hospital, so you got to go to foster care. I'm like, are you kidding me? And yet no one sees that it's crucial for us to see each other.
Is that where they are right now, in foster care? Or are they
in foster care? They have been in 3 different foster homes in the past 10 months. You know, it's just like, what are they feeling? What are they thinking? And why do this when I'm here? I love them. I'm going to protect them with everything that I have, and I can take care of them. It just, it hurts. It got to me real bad about a week ago, and I finally got my strength back. But it's really, you know, you're living with a broken heart, literally, and every hour that goes by without your children, it's just hard.
You know, that was exactly how I explained it when people would ask, you know, and they don't understand. It's like our children are an extension of us. And it would be as if somebody literally like cut your arm off.
Exactly.
You know, you need that. You still
I know, it's like,
it.
yeah, you know, and a mother gets that bond while she's pregnant and starts feeling the child move. That, for me, I did. That's exactly when the bond started for each one of them.
Was when? Say that again.
Whenever I was pregnant and I first felt that movement, that's exactly when that bond started. It's really, really hard. You know, I wish that I could see them. I want to hug them and tell them it's going to be okay.
Hear their voices.
Hear their voices. Let them hear my voice. You know, they used to get me to sing to them every night before they went to sleep, whether it be while they're with me or over the phone. I don't understand why they do CPS, DFACS, and Child Protective Services do this. It's very hurtful. It's very hard.
Absolutely.
And I just got to hang in there.
Sometimes it's so frustrating. Your case is so sad. Okay, so at the second court hearing, is that when you received your case plan?
Yes.
Okay. And for your visits, were they set up as supervised?
They were supervised in the DFACS office. They were like,
for how
they were supervised by a caseworker, like the first two. Then after that, it was in the, like in a room that was monitored by them. And that was probably for maybe 2 weeks. And then it was just between me and my stepsister when she would let me see them.
Okay. And you said roughly it was 3 times a week?
Yes.
Okay. And for how long was each visit?
Sometimes I stayed overnight.
Wow. That's awesome.
So, sorry. Yeah, but I sometimes stay overnight and spend the whole day, like, help with homeschool.
Okay, so that's amazing that you got to see them often. Even though the situation is horrible and shouldn't have happened, most people, such as myself, I only got 1 visit a week for 2 hours supervised for over a year. That's how.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. And then not only that, but anytime. So my mom was actually the foster mom. She's the one who took my kids illegally. Pretty horrible. But she would tell the social workers that when I would talk to my kids, that it would cause them major anxiety and that it was very unhealthy for them. And so then my phone calls would be, canceled or whatever. So,
that's awful.
Yeah, it was. So you got to see your kids often. You started your case plan. What then happened next?
So
you have a court-appointed attorney or a hired one?
I had a court-appointed one. And what happened was, that's whenever I got to the point where it was time for me to get into my own place. And that's when he pulled me into, the caseworker came and got me from my job to do my weekly drug screening. I did that, and he pulled me into the courtroom and said, does it matter if you got money for your own place? You ran out of time. Right. If you want to be able to see your kids, the best thing to do is sign over your rights, let your stepsister adopt them, and y'all handle it, the way that just between you two. You have 2 days to make this decision. And I signed over my rights, and, They did not go to my stepsister. It was not, basically I signed my rights and they were in DFAS care, custody, is what I signed.
Okay, so just
then there was a hearing regarding that, that I was not, made aware of, but I had a friend that works for a legal aid program who sent me the email of the court order, and it was basically, yes, the mother signed over the rights, but it is still beneficial for the children to see their mother, for them to have visitation, and for them to start letting it be unsupervised visitation at the discretion of the stepsister where they are, and then to return them to their home as soon as possible. And then that's when everything, I thought they were going to come home. They were with me 6 nights a week for a month and a half, and then my stepsister called and said they were causing marital problems, and these guys came and got them, and they put them in foster care, and that's where they've been the past 10 months.
Okay, hold on, because I want to go over that in more details. But let's go back to the court. I want to try to go in an order because it can get confusing. So the second court hearing that you attended, basically just to see how everything is going, correct?
Right.
Okay, and when did they increase your visitation to being like unsupervised? When did that happen?
After I signed over my parental rights.
Did they make you sign them over? Tell me again what the ultimatum was?
Well, the caseworker had pulled me into the courtroom. Of course, the judge wasn't in there, but he was there, and the attorney ad litem was there.
The judge was not there?
Our guardian ad litem. The judge was not in there. It was just the caseworker and the guardian ad litem. And he said, you ran out of time, and you don't have time to prove you can keep a place stable for any length of time, and it would be better if you signed over your rights, let your stepsister adopt them, so that way you can still be in their life and see them.
Okay, hold on one second. How long from the beginning when you got your case plan till that meeting, how long of a time was that?
It had been about a year.
And where were you living? Because why
I was living with my mom and my stepdad, but they said that they couldn't come there.
Was there room?
Oh yeah, we had a room set up for them.
Did they ever on visits get to spend the night with you?
No, never.
Okay.
Not until after I signed over my rights.
So this is making me so angry. So for you, so they give you the case plan a year later. The only thing that you hadn't done was get your own place, but you had a safe, secure place for them that had room for them. So you were still able to provide beds and everything else.
Yes.
This is what makes me so frustrated. I'm sure, obviously, you too.
Well, for some reason, like my stepsister wasn't good over there. It was toxic. Different things. We had not had any contact with my stepsister for about 4 years prior to her getting my daughters. And I don't know why she would say that, it was toxic, this, that. But whatever she said, they took it into account and would agree with her.
Yeah, that's what happened in my case too. It's like I wasn't allowed to have a voice.
Right, absolutely.
So he tells you now that you didn't do it in time. You didn't get your place in time. So this was done without the judge present. So it's like mediation?
I guess so. They've confused me so much. I ended up, when I signed the papers, I took my paperwork, I put them in a file and put them away, and I was so ashamed of myself I couldn't look at them. But later I looked, and, the paperwork is not even legally done. It's not done legally. One, on my oldest daughter, it's not notarized or signed or dated or even notarized by the notary. and the other one I didn't sign giving my rights away on my youngest one. So I not only said I've been coerced and bullied and lied to, but the documentation is false. It's illegal. And they just don't care. I mean, I was so angry because they just don't care. They wouldn't give me my rights back. But yet they give me unsupervised visitation. And then, the one judge, unsupervised visitation, then bring the kids home as soon as possible he steps down from the case, and there's a new judge, and this judge is like, doesn't even care about anything that's happened, and just says, well, you're obviously educated, you're definitely mentally capable and stable to care for yourself and others, but if I give you your rights back, then every parent will think they have a right to get their rights back. And that's just not good enough for me. So you're not going to tell me that's the reason why you're not giving my rights to my children back. So I have to wait for this.
The judge said this?
He did. So now I have to wait for him to do the order of that hearing so I can file an appeal and try again and file things for visitation, because the DFACS, one thing that they did is they asked my oldest daughters, they said, while she's in foster care, they say, you cannot call your mom, but if there's somebody you call other than your mom or your grandma, who would that be? And she said, well, my aunt. So they said, okay, well, we're going to allow a phone call. It took me on their butt every single day for about a month. I said, she didn't ask for this phone call. You suggested it. You said she could have it, so make it happen. And they finally, my sister-in-law was able to talk to them, but that's been 2 months ago. And I tried everything. I talked to Georgia Children's Advocacy. They say that the phone call should be something that is done weekly, but that they're not making it happen. It's not only me that's hurting; it's the rest of their family.
Right.
They love them too, and nobody can see or speak to them, and we don't want them to think that we've forgotten. And all I have now is my faith, and that has been, faltered because of this, but.
That was the only thing that got me through mine as well.
That's all I have. I mean, before I wake up, or when I wake up, before I get out of bed, I'm like, I start praying. God, watch over them, protect them, guide them. Do not let any sort of evil come near my children. At night, when they lay their heads down, let them feel my love somehow. Let them be comforted by their mom's love. It's just, they take away your meaning. What feels.
Yes.
But,
so going back to the day that you signed them away, so I went to mediation, and it was me, the social worker, and then the mediator. That was it. That's why I'm asking, because it sounds kind of similar. And then what they told me was I was going to get my kids back in 3 weeks. And we're going to go from supervised to unsupervised to spending the night, weekends, and then I'm going to get them back. So it's going to be a very quick transition. They also dropped all the accusations that my parents had made, except for one, and it was because my ex-husband was on meth, and I was trying to get away from him, and nobody would help me, and there was domestic violence, and I was a victim of it. But even when you're a victim, they still put it as you're part of the domestic violence.
Right.
So that was the only thing that was not dismissed, because the other accusations was that I was a drug addict, never touched a drug in my life, that I neglected and abandoned my kids. The stupidest things ever, because that's not who I am. So, but they dismissed those charges almost immediately because I was able to prove all of those things. But what happened was they said, now we're going to go meet before the judge and you'll sign an agreement to what was discussed. I said, okay. So we go right into the courtroom now, and he says, did you understand everything that was said in mediation? Yes, I did. Were you forced to sign the paper that had the details written on it of what you guys agreed upon? No, I was not forced. I agreed. Nothing was said about what was said in mediation. Does that make sense?
Oh.
And on the papers, all that there really was codes. So it didn't say Cindy's going to get her kids back, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
So I signed the paper. I'm so excited. I'm celebrating. And my visits remained as supervised. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm trying to call the attorney, my public or court-appointed attorney. Nobody's answering. Social worker wouldn't answer. The supervisor, nothing. So I start looking for an attorney to help take my case. I must have called over 50 attorneys, and not one would touch my case until I found the attorney that I work for and co-host on the radio show. I found his radio show, and I called the office, and they gave me all the information, and they said, you can actually ask questions on there. So I'm like, great. So I wrote out, a quick little thing and put my questions on there, and he answered my call on the radio. So now I'm telling him my story basically, and I'm asking him questions, and he's like, you need to just call me privately because we need to talk. Like, there's something going on that you don't know, and I can't figure it out because I can't see your papers. I'm like, absolutely. So I go and meet with him, and he looks through my papers, and he asked me to explain the day of mediation. And I did exactly how I just did it to you. And he says, let me tell you actually what happened. I said, okay. He said, you were, I forgot the word, but they had me sign away my parental rights. He said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get your kids back, but we will try. And we did. So don't lose your faith, number one.
Right.
Yeah. So, because with God, all things are possible. And like he says, we only need, he wants us to have more, but the faith of a mustard seed.
Right.
So after your meeting with them or whatever, did you then go in front of the judge and he say anything like that?
No, he said I only had 2 days to decide, so it was 2 days. I said, okay, I'm on my way up to CPAC's office. And he had the paperwork ready, and I said, I don't want to do this, but this is the only way that I'm secure knowing that my kids will still be in my life, that I'll still be in their life. And I cried the whole time signing the papers, and there was never anything. The only thing that was brought up in court about it, the next time we had court, the judge says, so I want to know why Miss Carter was brought to my courtroom without me here, and then conveniently, she signs over her rights 2 days later, so I don't understand what's going on here. That's all that was said.
The judge said that?
The judge did.
The judge said that? Wow.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
I was saying that after that happened, my lawyer, she stepped down from the case, and I had to be my own lawyer for a couple months there, but I had help through like the district courthouses here. The lady at the clerk's office there would, she mailed me documents to file so that I would be able to sit in the hearings, and so that I could hear what was going on.
Right.
I was kind of, the judge was like, have you signed or have you filed a motion to dismiss? And I said, no. And he said, well, as of right now, you don't have your rights. Sit down. And then he was like, I suggest that you file that as soon as possible. So I Googled it until I figured out what it was and filed it. And then they finally gave me a lawyer. But now it says I got to wait. It's terrifying. I was told that they got, I have no idea how long they have to do this last order, but even when I file the appeal, it could take 6 to 8 months before we know anything on that. And that's, even longer time with me not seeing my children. And I kind of got snappy with my lawyer, and I was like, look, your main number one priority should have been visitation. So she says that she doesn't know if they would allow her, being a court-appointed attorney, to file what, needs to be filed so I can have visits And I said, well, if not, then I'll just file pro se saying I'm my own lawyer, and I'll file it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at now. So, because I'll let her file the appeal, and then I'll file pro se, and I'll be my own lawyer, and I'll file for visitation because, you know, it is in their best interest to see their mom. I'm sure they are going absolutely crazy, you know, with waiting. I feel like they're just waiting. They're like, okay, Mama's going to get it. She's going to pull. She's going to pull through. She's going to come get us, you know. And I just hope their faith doesn't falter. You know, it's just. Oh.
So after you signed away your parental rights, what did anything change as far as visitation and everything like that? And
yeah, it went from visiting with being supervised by my stepsister to unsupervised at her discretion.
So you got to see them without anybody watching?
And they were in my home, in my little home that I had for us, 6 nights a week for almost 2 months.
And how soon after that court hearing did that happen? After you signed away your parental rights, when did you get to start?
Well, we weren't made aware of that court hearing, but a lady that I know that works for the legal aid program here, she had the order and she emailed it to me. I printed it up, took it to the court office, and I was like, okay, so he said unsupervised visitation. It's been, no one informed us of this court date, so, and my stepsister was on a cruise with all the kids, so she didn't go, so no one was aware of it, and as soon as we knew, I took it to DFAX, and I was like, look, and they're like, that's before you sign over your rights. I was like, nope, here's those papers, here's that date, and here's the date the judge signed this for unsupervised visitation. They said, oh, okay, you're right. And I was like, well, I'm just letting you know. I was like, this is my address. You can come check it out. They will be staying the night with me. And they said I had a right to do that. And then, you know, like I said, my stepsister got whatever going on with her and decided that they're causing marital problems to come get them from her home. And they placed them in foster care. And it's been 10 months. And it's just why when they have a parent right here who can take care of them, who had them for almost 2 months, you know.
And that's so in those 2 months, did they check in on you? Did you have any court hearings?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The CASA worker came by, but she upset me because she told my children that she didn't see the judge let them come home. I said, ma'am, that's your opinion. I said, and we don't do that here. I tell them that I'm not sure, but I'm not going to upset them. Even looked at my oldest one and said, so if you can't be home with your mom and for some reason you can't live with your aunt, where are you going to go? And I was like, hold up, lady. I was like, that is not what you're supposed to do. My biological sister is a CASA worker, and you do not say things like that to children.
Can you repeat again what they said?
Yes, she looked at my daughter, my oldest one, and she said, so if the judge says no about you coming back home to your mom, and for some reason you can't live with your aunt anymore, then where are you going to live? Where are you going to go? And I said, that's not a question that you need to ask my daughter.
No. And what was her response?
She said, well, she needs to think about that. And she said to my youngest one, she said, she'll adapt wherever she's at. I said, no. I said, it's time for you to leave my house. You are not welcome here anymore. I said, it's time for you to go. I said, my biological sister, is an actual CASA worker, and this is not how you speak to children. I was like, so it's time for you to go.
Now, why did they either ask or offer, or did you request for your girls to go to another family member or somebody else that you knew?
We did. My biological sister, she lived in Colorado at the time. We were trying to get them with her, and DFAC said no because I wouldn't be able to see them. I said, look, they would be in a better place because my stepsister, I felt, you know, my stepsister was supposed to take a psychiatric test to foster them. She refused to take it, and they still let her foster. And I wanted them with my older sister, and they said no because I wouldn't be able to see them, and it wouldn't be good for the girls if I didn't get to see them. I said, well, we could do Skype. You know, my sister wanted to keep them until I finished whatever I need done, and if something happened and she needed to adopt them, she was going to turn around and give them back to me anyways. My stepsister was she was like messing with me mentally. And I told her, I said, you will back off my daughters. She started with my oldest one, and I told my oldest one just to call me when she started. Then she started telling me that in front of my youngest child, she said that she is playing victim. I said, excuse me? She said she's playing victim because of her dad dying. I said, no, she's not. I said, she was 4 years old when her daddy died. She is not playing victim. Back off my kids. It's time to back off. I found out that you all about the money, and that's all it was about. And now you want me to sign documents saying that you're not responsible for any of the money that you've spent, and I'm not going to do it. And then that's when she called them and said, come get them. And they placed them in foster care. They've been there 10 months. And, I don't know exactly what, but I'm telling you, I've had this feeling that there's something about my stepsister and the caseworker, because anything she said went, and I don't get it.
Anything the social worker said?
No, anything my stepsister said. And I know that's crazy, but I'm like, why? I'm like, what is it about her that you just...
I get it.
Whatever she says goes.
Yeah, I get it. Because they're disgusting.
And, man, I have to see this. I have ran into him 3 times in public places, and he smiles at me, and I'm like... I just walk away, because I'm like, I cannot go to jail, But I just want to be like, why are you smirking at me? You kidnapped my kids. You stole them from me and put them with people they don't know.
Isn't it disgusting?
That's how it feels. They stole them.
Isn't it disgusting?
It is.
I'm so
and it's just, of all the stories I hear and all the parents that this is done to, it's like, can't somebody fix it, stop it, help us. It's just... Eventually, I feel like something will be done, because they're all about money. That's all they're about.
Let's get back to the part when the first day they went to foster care. So you had them for 2 months, 6 days a week.
Right. My sister getting an argument, and she calls and says their calls and marital problems, can get them. And, put them in foster care, and they've been in 3 different foster homes in 10 months.
Are you aware of any abuse?
I'm not. I pray that there's not. That's a big fear, It's scary.
Very scary. Those are your babies.
Exactly.
Are they together?
They are. They will not separate them.
So when they went into the system, or in foster care, because they've been in the system, when they went into the foster care, did you have any visitations during the beginning of being in foster care? So when they took them, that was your last day of seeing them?
That was it. And they won't allow a phone call between us or visitation. And I asked the reason. They say, well, before they were with your family, now they're in actual foster care, so you can't see them. Makes no sense. And I've been told to get in touch with the caseworker, and he could arrange visitation. Well, he won't speak to me because of the allegations of him coercing me into signing over my parental rights. So I'm kind of like, well, I'm stuck. No one to help. I'm just in a waiting game now for this last court order to be drawn up so I can file an appeal and I can file for visitation.
So right now, they haven't been adopted, correct?
Right, no, they haven't. No, because, my oldest, that wasn't her biological father.
Right.
So her biological father, they are trying to terminate his rights, but they have yet to do so. So
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, where is
Yeah.
he? How is he involved
Oh,
in?
they put him in some kind of jail program thing because they say he, what's the word? That he threatened these acts, which in all reality he says, look, I have not seen my daughter in 3 years. If I do not get to see my daughter soon, y'all are going to have a suicide on you because I'm going to kill myself if I don't get to see my kid. And they took that as a threat to them personally, and they had him locked up. And now we're trying to terminate his rights. And I'm just like,
I had asked you about the whole why can't they live with a different family member? What was their answer to all of that?
So the adoption case manager, the last time I talked to her, she called me and she said, I'm returning your phone calls about visitation while they're in foster care. She says, I can't, that can't happen. She said, but if your children are not returned to you, then the goal is to place them with family.
But
so, and no, the CFAX office is closed due to COVID-19, so I can't reach out to anyone and ask what's going on.
Do you still have the same attorney?
I do, but I'm probably going to end up having to file pro se and be my own attorney just to be able to, because she said there was document forms that could be filed for me to get visitation, but she didn't think that they would allow her to do it since she was court-appointed attorney. I don't know, or she don't want to do it. I don't know. So she said she would help me with the forms. It's called a third-party visitation, and ask, for visitation, because it's beneficial for the kids, and you can even ask for, to reevaluate custody.
Right.
I have that I'm looking at. I've also heard of a thing called a reverse adoption that I would do if they get adopted. And those are only two things I know really what to do right now.
I would love for you to call into the radio station tomorrow, because there's a couple of things that you've said that I'm like, I want to know the answer to that.
Okay.
So when we're done, you can message my assistant and she'll give you the number to the show. And then what I'd like you to do, ask her for my number and text me when you call in and you're on the line. So then that way I can tell them to put you through.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, so right now, just to be clear, when's your next court hearing?
No clue.
When was
I have to wait on the last, the hearing that was done last month. I have to wait on that court for the order to be done by the judge. And once he has that out, then that's when I can start filing for visitation and appeals. So I'm just waiting.
It's so hard to wait.
It is. And that's what made me stumble there for a minute, is this waiting thing. But I'm okay now.
I don't understand why, if you provided all of the stuff to have them moved to a family member or friend, why they didn't get moved. That makes me so mad. And how are the foster parents treating them? Oh, you don't know?
Right. I don't know. This is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But I gotta wait, patience is not my virtue. Never has been, and no. Especially with something like this, but I have no choice. I'm at a point where there is nothing else I can do except for wait.
Right. Like you said, your faith, I'm a firm believer that God will work this out for good. And when you look back, you're going to wonder, because I just did this, how the heck did I wake up every day? How did I get out of bed and eat and then find jobs with my health issues?
Exactly. It's hard. It's very hard. I try not to think too hard, but every day I picture their faces. You know,
Yeah.
I just want to hold them. I just want to hug them and not let them go out of that hug for a very, very long time. Maybe soon,
Yeah, but it's just the corruption of all of this. Can we go back over the whole medication thing? I'm
Yes.
interested in that.
With my daughter?
Yeah, who took her to the appointment?
Well, I originally took her to the appointment. No, me and my stepsister took her to the appointment. I took her to her first one in 2015. The one in 2016, me and my stepsister took her. She was diagnosed with 2 forms of ADHD, and she was recommended, medication to help her deal with it. And the caseworker will not sign off for her to take medication. And it's been 4 years that she's been diagnosed with that.
And a doctor diagnosed her.
Right, her pediatrician did. Exactly.
Can you make sure you write that down as a question, please?
Sure, I will.
Actually, I'm going to do it too. Just a moment. So I remember, I think it was last week or the week before, I remember somebody saying how the social worker was diagnosing either the children or the parents. They're not doctors.
Oh, and that's another thing. So they did allow for my stepsister to go to a natural feeling great store and get some stuff that's supposed to calm a child down naturally and let her take that, though, but not the prescription that the pediatrician prescribed.
If a doctor prescribes medication that is needed, not, it's not enough
Exactly.
to right. Take it or leave it, whatever. Can the social worker, what would I say? Override
doctor's orders.
And not allow child to take meds. There was another question another thing you said that made me question or wanted
maybe the separation anxiety disorder that she's diagnosed with. Because I asked the caseworker, I said, do you need us to go to counseling for this to help her deal with this separation anxiety disorder? And he's like, oh, that's a very good question. Let me get with the appropriate people and I'll let you know. And he just never got back with me, doesn't care, just let her deal with it.
No, that wasn't my question. It was more about the case plan and getting your own place. So, it has been 10 months, correct, since you've seen her talk to them? And you don't even know if there's another court hearing.
Right.
And I'm not sure, but in a way it's like you can't really appeal this at the moment. Can you?
Right. I have to wait for the last hearing that was done for that order to be drawn up by the judge. Once he draws that up and it's mailed out, then I can appeal, and then I can start filling out documents to request for visitation.
That's another question I'm going to add for you. What is the order name to request or appeal what's the word? Orders, I guess.
Right. What's the order that you would file to request for visitation and appeal the judge's decision?
Perfect. Okay. These are going to be great questions. I feel like you're going to get a lot of direction from him tomorrow.
Thank you.
Of course. So right now you're just at a standstill. Do you have a relationship with your stepsister right now, or no?
None whatsoever. I have not spoken. When this first happened, I even said, let's talk. Maybe you were going through some things, and it's okay. Let's talk this through. I forgive you. And no word. Then it was about 5 months later, and I saw her in public, and I was like, oh, the amount of rage that I was holding that I had no clue I held for her. I was like, I need to get my vehicle, walk away, drive away from her. So,
when was that?
About 5 months ago. I saw her at the grocery store parking lot, and I was so angry, so angry, and I wanted to say such horrible things, and just, why could you do this to these little girls? And instead, I got in my vehicle and drove away, and I'm like, no, just let it go. It wouldn't do any good,
Yeah.
But I just didn't realize I was that angry about it.
Well, of course.
You have my kids in your home for 4 years. You tell me that if you have to adopt them, that I'm going to be in their life every day. To just call and say, come get them, because you have an issue with the money you spent of theirs.
Does she get to see them at all, or no?
No.
And I think that's another question that we should add is, after you signed away your parental rights and you had all of this time with them, how do you now go from unsupervised visits and overnights and all of that to nothing?
No visitation. No visitation, no phone calls. Exactly. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. And it's one caseworker, who's not on my case, he pushed and he kept trying to get me visitation. He said that this time around, them taking them like they did after them staying with me so much was going to be very, very tragic for them, and that they were going to have extensive therapy after that. But he could not get his supervisor to allow visitation.
What would you tell other parents that are going through this, or that they aren't aware that this even exists and happens?
What I would tell them is to try to do your case plan as quickly as possible. Never sign anything that DFACS wants you to sign, period. Case plan, do not sign it without your lawyer looking at it. Do not listen to them when they say, sign these papers or you never see your kids again. Sign over your rights or you never see your kids again. Never sign anything. I would suggest that you say, I'm not signing anything. We will discuss this in front of the judge and see what the judge has to say. That's what I wish I would have done, nope, well, you can ask me this in front of judge, you can tell me this in front of judge, and I'll wait on his decision. Because it comes down to his decision, not these facts. So I would, try to do what they asked of, but never sign anything without, having your lawyer look at it first and having a judge's opinion on it.
Yes. And another question is about the signing away your parental rights and the paperwork, how it's not notarized.
It's not even legit. Yeah, it's not even done legally.
Hold on. So, Mindy, I just feel that your case is, as I feel about everybody's, but yours has so many significant and wrong pieces to it.
Right.
And again, that's why I'm anxious for you to call in tomorrow. I want to know these answers so bad.
And it'll be at 10 tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, it's from 7 to 9. So yours would be 10 to midnight.
Okay.
But you're going to get some direction. He's absolutely amazing, very knowledgeable, has a lot of wisdom. And I feel he's going to, the reason you're very calm. You know, you're able to keep with the story as far as the important key points. And now I have
Right.
these written up for you to be able to get direction. Do you
Well,
have
thank
any,
you a lot.
of course, do you have any questions for me?
Okay. And message me after the phone call, the radio. Like once it's over with, if you have time, message me afterwards.
After tomorrow afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay, how about, so when we're done, get the information from my assistant, the radio show number. I'm going to say it actually right now, but get it from her. It's 1-800-222-5222.
Okay.
What is
And
that noise?
that's who I've
Sorry.
been messaging through Messenger, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise. It's hard to hear you.
I know. I'm sorry. It's the dog. They need to go for a walk.
Oh, okay. Yes, message my assistant the way that you have been, and then get my number so you can text me and tell me when you're on. And then after the
Okay.
show, you message me. That'll be easier, and then we can talk.
Okay, I'll do that.
Mindy, thank you so much for sharing your story. I'm gonna
Thank you for giving me opportunities to share it.
Yes, and I'll continue to be praying for you. And I look forward to
Thank you.
hearing you tomorrow on the show.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.